Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to round number 4 of the season. We are here in Austria. Last week in Qatar, round 3 of the season, we completed early. Yes, you were hearing that right. It was a race-shortened event in Qatar that led to Urai's first career win for Red Bull, and first career win in general. Ahead of Lennon and RPL Ardell getting onto the podium for the first time. Half points were awarded. 2 game glitches on the stream side. One that ultimately ended the race itself very early, 18 laps in out of the 29 complete, which is why we awarded half points. But the big storyline from that race since Qatar is the fact that Lennon is no longer in Tier 3. You were hearing that correctly. He is banned from racing in the tier. He got promoted to Tier 2 within the Merc Academy. They have a spot for him, luckily. Good on them to, have room for him and, make him a priority after he got promoted for being too quick for this tier. So now the focus is, without Lennon, what can these drivers do tonight? I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles, and welcome along, chat. Welcome along, everybody. Twitch chat, if you're watching on YouTube after the event's over, it's good to have you here. So, yes, with Lennon not here and banned from the tier, no longer allowed to race it, now in Tier 2, what does that mean for our drivers? Well, let's talk about the 3 events so far. We've ran Australia, Singapore, and Qatar, and we've had 6 different drivers on the podium. We've also had 6 different teams on the podium so far. 2 different winners, 2 different pole sitters. That will definitely change the complexion of the season. But there are a lot of guys into tonight's race who need good finishes. I'm going to start with the Visa Cash App Racing Bull of Goatley. 3 races, 3 different times he's been involved in incidents at least once a race and penalized by the stewards for it. We also have the Ferraris, Polish Hammer and RSF1 Invade. Only one of them has a podium. With George banned from the tier and graduating up to Tier 2, Tier 1, whatever you want to call it, you would expect Invade to be the one winning races and stuff like that, especially considering last season. He started off quite well with the win in Bahrain. That was the only other Tier 3 race I commentated. You had as well China last season, the domination there. Why is Invade not doing so well? Only 1 points finished this season, 5th place. And for Polish Hammer, although he's got points in every race so far this season, it has not been clean for him. He has started off horribly. He's finished a lot better, but only 1 podium to Ferrari's name, and it comes from him back in Australia. A lot of big nights needed tonight for some of these guys. Lennon does join us. I thought he was banned from Tier 3. Maybe watching the event from as far as I know, but it's obviously good to see that he is now in Tier 2. Got a full-time ride there. And with that being said, let's give you a rundown on some of the changes throughout the week that you may have seen within the server. And if you're not in the server, that's totally okay, but these definitely apply to those of you who are not weekly watchers and definitely would like to hear this news about who is where. So, Neski, he is 4th in the championship standings. He's had some great finishes so far with Williams, salvaging those results quite well for that team. Because of Lennon's whole thing there, he got a promotion. He is now up to the Mercedes full-time. He is here tonight. And you can see him on our screen now. Patrick. He's not in here tonight. Patrick F1, but he did get a promotion to Aston Martin. You could see him right there. Full-time Sauber. We saw him already arrive in a few Tier 2 races so far. Only 1 point to his name. Tier 3 debut for the Sauber man tonight. Ardell and Alex Norris, let's talk about them. Last week, Ardell had the podium for VCarb, and originally he was supposed to start the season in Red Bull anyway, but went to VCarb. Now, because of his good performance in Qatar, he is now in the Red Bull full-time, and Alex Norris, who was supposed to be in this Red Bull full-time, now down at the VCarb. What else do we have? Obviously, we mentioned Lennon in Tier 2 full-time. Now, we'll get to him a little bit more later on in the event when we talk about the standings and tomorrow's event as well, which is in Spain. We wish him the best of luck. Some news for next season. Polish Hammer will re-sign with Ferrari full-time right there. Drift King in the Mercedes tonight, but he will be full-time in Red Bull next season. a lot of people criticized him after his qualifying in Qatar, but I've looked at his results in Tier 2 as a whole, or Tier 3, excuse me, as a whole. 2 podiums to his name, and look at Singapore the week before Qatar. He finished on the podium from P18 in the grid. So, although he's P7 in the championship, he gave George a run for his money last season, and Red Bull are looking for their new George. So, Drift King may be their guy. He just needs to put up some more consistent results. He definitely has the pace, no doubt about it. Neski, Merc full-time next season as well. That is technically a 2-season contract, and Turbo is really backing these guys up out of the exit of the pit lane. This could be a penalty. This is very, very dangerous. He could even be disqualified from the session if he's not careful with this. It was Turbo in this kerfuffle, or it was a Haas of either, that is SV, and then the teammate there. So that is very dangerous out of the exit of the pit lane, but we'll see if the stewards have anything to say about that with Turbo, who's had a pole already this season. Leon Miner's in the Aston Martin tonight, but he's full-time for Williams for the next 2 seasons. Nice contract extension for Leon. Kept it clean most races, and I know he's not had a points finish in a while, but this race back in Tier 2 a few seasons ago was one of his brightest moments. Maybe not the drive-through, but he still had some points in a chaotic race that was. Turbo, we spoke about him. McLaren full-time next season. SV back at Haas. Opticals going over to Mercedes from the Aston Martin team. And our only other driver that we did not mention is Mythic, Aston Martin. Mythic is in here tonight in the McLaren. I think he was supposed to be in the Alpine, but a little last-minute lineup decision there. So, yeah. Faded Knights, by the way, returning to Kick Sauber for tonight. Good to see him. His last other start comes from China last season. He was originally supposed to commentate this event, but Kick Sauber, they needed him desperately, and you could see that he is alongside Woda in the Sauber. Dipping wheel on the gravel right there is not ideal. We do have lap times being complete. D. Summers is our next one across the line. 5th driver to cross the line. And our fastest so far is RPL Ardell. Trying to redeem himself, to say the least. It was this race back in Tier 2 a few seasons ago. He originally had the podium, crossed the white line, penalized in the steward's room, demoted after. I guess you could call this redemption with where he's at on our board and how he's been doing recently. But his teammate slots in just a few hundredths behind. Invade to the top of our board. First fastest, 3.9. We're into the 3s. Good to see. Invade desperately needs us, as we said earlier. We're not going to go on board with Mythic here, and then we'll start going at our laps and giving you hot laps around this beautiful circuit. Lots of drama at this circuit throughout the past seasons, to say the least. F2 had some crazy moments here in Season 19. Mythic goes 9th. Not ideal there, especially when his teammate goes 2nd fastest, but it's still early on in the session. I'm going to see what these guys can do. So yeah, with Mythic, it was this race a few seasons ago. That same race, Leon had that points finish. Mythic had a points finish. And it was one of Mythic's best results in a while. Took him a few seasons later to get a result like that. So, good stuff right there. Woda hasn't validated. Faded Knights is backed off. SV is not going again. D. Sommer's not going again. Who do we have on a lap there? I saw someone go to turn 1. Alex Norris to the pit lane. Drift King to the pit lane. So now it's a quiet session. Okay. So it would invalidate it. We'll go on board with him in the Kick Sauber. Like I said, Tier 2 starts already to his name. None in Tier 3. This is his first one in Tier 3. Already not off to a good start. Invalidating. Faded Knights, I think he's trying again. We're going to go on board with him while we talk about the championship standings. So, Lennon leads by 24.5 points. Yes, we're saying half points because last week was half points if you just missed us talking about last week's event in Qatar in the preview show. But yeah, Lennon leads Gerard. Well, Gerard. I found out the name. It's Uri. Uri. Yeah, Uri is second in the championship. 24.5 points back. Turbo, technically net P2 then you could say in the championship. For him, so far this season, he's had really good starts, but we've not seen that breakout performance yet, and we're just waiting to see it with that being said. Neski 4th, Polish 5th, Optical 6th, all those guys from 2nd to 6th within 14.5 points of each other in the championship. Very important in this championship battle now that Lennon is gone from the tier. Faded Knights bettered his time, but only just. We're going to look out for what drivers can better their time even more. So, Faded Knights used to this Kick Sauber. He actually got a really good finish in the Ferrari Academy. It was on loan at Alpine in Imola last season in the opening rounds. It was a P8 finish. That is his best finish to date. We'll see if he can better that tonight at all. On an outlap is Neski. On an outlap is Polish. We will watch Neski here as he starts his lap. Tier 3 already has some experience around the circuit if you're not aware. It was back in preseason. It wasn't the best of events for Faded Knights, but Neski didn't race that preseason event. Now we could almost say 2 seasons ago. It was to open up Season 1. We'll call it 0.5 season to Tier 2 because there were 3 preseason events back then. 81 thousandths on the time. This hairpin, a little bit more different. Do you want to maximize the entry or do you want to maximize the exit here? That will be very big when it comes to racing moves down at that corner or trying to outrace your competitor. Ardell does better himself up to second, but now we got Neski we're riding on board with. Turn 4, turn 5, now to the final corner of the sector. These curbs can be hit or miss for the drivers. Up by a 10th, going purple. This could get him to 4th. Second row would not be bad for the Merc driver. Almost had a little wiggle wobble right there. You see that curb we were talking about? Well, all the curbs we were talking about. That curb specifically there, though, at the left-right, so troubling for some of these drivers. Can be loosey-goosey. These final 2 corners, loosey-goosey on the track limits, but Neski is just fine. He's up to 4th. Good to see. Polish has not qualified well this season, and again, he's going to be on the back foot. 10th place for Polish. Polish needs to qualify better. He's not qualified better than 8th this season at all. Is he going to have another 10th place qualifying spot? This would not be ideal for him. Optical. Here he is, just completing a lap. 6th fastest right there for the Aston Martin. 9 minutes to go, and Invade is going to try to better this pole lap. We're going to watch him. He has never had a pole in Tier 3. He's had a lot of front rows and a lot of good starts to go with it. We'll see if tonight is the night. Ferrari engine changed. That was a good cut at turn 1. You got to be very careful with how you can maximize that. And Vade did a very good job of that. Almost got invalidation. I think he's very lucky to get away with it. And he's bettering himself. 48 thousandths up in the time. Drifts his way into turn 3. You see turn 2 is a kink there. So, you know, you really just got to stay to the left side there toward that white line in that area. Then turn 3, just maximize it. And so far, Invade has done a good job. Turn 4. Now for turn 5. I can't tell if this is a really good lap or not, but you can see his ERS usage down to 30% already from the Ferrari. Down in sector 2, 6 thousandths, and you can see through there, it looks like it's a handful as he starts sector 3. 2 more corners to go for Invade. If he can improve just a little bit, that's good, but of course, with where he started the lap, you'd want him to improve massively. Keeps it good on the track limits, exiting on the final corner, and across the line, he does improve on the pole time. 3:94 this time. That is about 200ths better than what he did. RSF1 Invade currently holds pole position. Cheese. It's his second start tonight in the Alpine. He's on a lap. It's good to see him. I believe his last start was a few weeks ago. 1 start, 1 DNF to his name. Obviously, he'd love to change that tonight. We'll go on board with him for a little bit, then switch to one of our other drivers on the lap, which I believe is Uri. He's not had a lap yet, so this would be very good for him to get on the board. He'd be ahead of Leon if he can, then ahead of Woda. Uri, fastest, 3.9. That's exactly why I said for an Invade, you need to improve even more, and he will have to go out again and improve more. Got more drivers on the lap. Goatley, I believe. Yes, Goatley is on a lap. This is who I was going to watch in the V-Carb. V-Carb got a podium last week with Ardell. And he would love to get one with Goatley, I'm sure. 6 thousandths he's bettering himself by, and he's gone out of bounds. He's invalidated. We just saw an improvement from somebody, I think. Maybe Turbo? Yes, Turbo, up to 3rd. Now, that top 4 is separated by just 3/4 of a second right there. Look at that. Wow. That's a close top 4. There was one time in Tier 2 a few seasons ago we had it this close in the top 4, under a 10th. We have it once again. Nice to see a close qualifying session. That Ferrari engine does sound quite different. I do notice what people are saying there. I did not notice it before, but yeah. Cheese set a time. It's 14th fastest. Only just really ahead of competitively. Johnny, Faded Nights, that is. What's that song? Go, Johnny, go, go. It would be nice to see Johnny do well tonight in that kick Sauber. I know the admins have been very strict and given a strict warning on the Saubers in all tiers. Last week in Tier 1, we had Zakaria cause a safety car on purpose. We had a Sauber in Tier 2, I believe it was, just go straight on purpose. You know, Invade has been given a strict warning as TP. Your Sauber drivers need to better themselves, and I could see the point made there. There's been a lot of kick Saubers who struggled. I drove that car last season for a brief time in Tier 3. I can tell you from experience, it's not the worst of cars in terms of handling it. It feels not bad at all. It's just very slow. So I think these guys are really trying to push it in the Saubers and going overboard with it. Polish Hammer is bettering himself by 2/10 right now in the middle sector, but this is not enough to gain any places. He's plummeting down the order as people continue to improve. Down to 12th. And Polish Hammer, here's his qualifying results so far this season. 13th, 8th, and 10th. He would love to do better than that. He needs to get on the right foot tonight, and he only improves one place. This is not good at all from Polish. And I know he was very vocal in the Ferrari chat heading to this event, having no pace. Don't expect a lot from me. But if he can at least get maybe another place or two here, it would not be too bad from Polish Hammer. Another one who's plummeting down the order from the way things stand right now is Drift King. Drift King didn't qualify well last week. He didn't even qualify well in Singapore either. But we've seen him race very well so far this season. A podium to his name. P10 and Qatar, I think the strategy really did mess him up, and we see a mistake from Ardell. He's backing off on the time right now. Not good to have a mistake there, especially with how close this field is. But for Drift King, I would love to see him get better than just 10th place right now, especially being in the Mercedes this week compared to the Aston Martin. We need to see improvement from drivers who are either struggling or we expect them to do better than they are. And especially high hopes for Drift King having that Red Bull spot. Some friendly fire in the chat between two Ferrari Academy drivers, I see. Nice, nice. Alex Norris, a 10th up. Alex Norris, 1.4 Tier 2 starts before he returned in RPL, and he came down to Tier 3. And since then, he's had 2 starts, both them being in the points. And now tonight, this could be a really good qualifying spot if he can continue to improve. Look at how close this field is, all the way up to 6th, and that's where he's going to go around. 7th place just behind Optical. Really good lap from Alex Norris. Now, with the Ferrari behind, he's got to get out of the way. That's RSF1 Invade going for attempt number 3, it looks like, at pole position. Remember, Sector 1 was good last time. What's it going to be this time? It was 40,000s up, 25,000s down. So with losing time in Sector 1, he's going to have to gain it back in Sector 2 here with this lap from Invade. Down to turn 4. How much curb is Invade going to use here? He's going to use a bit of the outside, not the inside. Battery usage again. Now, when he reached this point last time by, it was 30% in the ERS, about 2-3% more, and a little wiggle from Invade. Does this hurt him at all? Yes, it does. He's down by 0.3. Not ideal for a man trying to go for his first pole. Turbo's already had 1 to his name this season so far, and he's already up in the time. This is looking pretty good from this guy. He's shown a lot of promise since joining Tier 3 and joining this league. When he joined in Mexico, he got a podium on his debut in that chaotic race last season. And he started off very well with his qualifying this season, all coming in odd places. 1st, 3rd, a 5th. Can it be a 1st or a 3rd again? Down by 23,000. He's going to have to find time in this last sector, but he's got some traffic. Will it be a small slipstream? He's trying to pick up one from the Red Bull. That would be Ardell. Turbo, 2 more corners. Cannot push the limits too much and go out of bounds. It's looking good so far, but is it enough to improve? Across the line now. He goes pole. Turbo is about to pick up his 2nd pole. If he can just hang on for 2 more minutes. Your AI up by a few hundredths there in the 1st sector. Here's Ardell, the teammate. Down by 200ths. And I just want to remind people of the constructors race. Mercedes lead the thing. They've looked good in two tiers, Tier 2 and Tier 3. But with Red Bull, Aston, McLaren, Ferrari, 10 points within each other. And on the charge, This could be a big night for them, but they need to start out well. Invade is out of the session. He will not go for a first pole tonight. 24 thousandths down by Uri. He is going to back off, I believe, and maybe start another one. Turbo's not going for another one unless he's banking on backing off and saving battery and having enough fuel. It looks like he's doing that. Ardell down. Neski is up. Goatley down. Alex Norris going to go for another one. We're going to see the checker flag soon, but Ardell is into the pits, and he's going to call it quits here. So the man who keeps getting banned from the Merc Academy is ahead of all Merc drivers, but not ahead of his teammate. His teammate goes to the pits. Turbo goes to the pits. So that's game over for them. But one guy it's not game over for who still could find places, Neski, he is backing off here, and it looks to be done for him. The only other guy I think that can go pole position here is Drift King, but he's matched his first sector. Polish, down by a 10th, looking for some places. He's not qualified well this season, and he's still not qualifying well. He did improve, but only one place. He's out of the top 10. And I don't think he's got enough charge to go for another one. Drift King, 40 thousandths up in the time. Checker flag will wave here soon. But Drift King's not had good qualifyings this season. Is this going to be another one outside the top 10? Across the line now, it's 11th again. Drift King, not qualifying good at all. Woodruff, debut in Tier 3. Outside the top 10 right now. Is second off the top time, so not bad there. It's where the Sauber should be. He'll be one of our first ones to cross the line when the checker flag waves. Same with Faded Knights. As for Faded, Austria preseason last time he raced here did not go well. Can it be a decent qualifying effort from the Kick Sauber? Across the line now, using all the battery. Here he comes. Behind Cheese, slowest of the guys. Woodda is sliding and going toward the barrier. He's not going to find any time. Polish Hammer backs off to the pit lane. Drift King backing off as well. The only other guy who can say anything about their times on our board is Optical, but he is backing off too. So it is going to be it from all these guys on track and in the pit lane. Second career pole from Turbo. And it has happened at the Red Bull Ring. He denies both Red Bulls. Turbo takes his second pole position. So, our lineup. Turbo has yet another position in an odd place this season. That's 4 out of 4 for him in odd places. But this time he repeats the one and first that he had at the very start of the season in Australia. Pole 2 of the season. Second place on our board. Uri. He's had 3 poles to his name prior. This one's a front row though. Invade qualifies in 3rd. As for Invade, he started P6, P4, and P5 already this season. He's now started in 4 different places, but this is his best one of the season. Ardell qualified P4 last week in a V-Carb. This time it's P4 in a Red Bull. And Neski, who sits 4th in the championship standings. He's had good qualifying efforts with Williams so far this season. Now in the main team for Merc, qualifying in 5th. At top 4, under 2/10. It's a close field at the front. Will it be a closer race at the front of the field? Out of the top 5, we've got Goatley for V-Carb, Alex Norris for V-Carb, but V-Carb's looking very well here tonight, to say the least. Alex Norris, it's his best qualifying in Tier 3. Optical is 8th. SV qualifies 9th. If he can better that by a few places, it's his best Tier 3 finish tonight. Mythic's in the top 10 for McLaren. 7/10 off the teammate. Some big names here. Outside of the top 10, you can see some rain came down at the end of that session, by the way. Drift King, 11th. Polish, 12th. Not good from them. Leon's in the Sauber. Or, excuse me, not in the Sauber. He's behind the Sauber. He's in the Aston Martin. And that car is a top 5 fastest car. So expect him to try to get up the order here. Didn't have a lap, though. And Valkyrie obviously retiring from the session. I don't remember the reason there. I didn't see a qualifying ban to her name. But that is why those guys are back there. And another poor effort from Drift King and Polish in qualifying. It's at least consistent with where they've been this season, but they need to better that. They really do. They need to figure that out if they want to have something in the race. I know the Ferrari's a better qualifying car than a race car, but that Mercedes should be better in the race from Drift King. We should be expecting more from him in the race. No rain expected for the race. Speaking of the race, we have an all-clear event. And why don't you guys head over to our chat and give us some predictions for the event tonight? Who do you think's going to win? Who do you think's going to be on the podium? How many safety cars and VSCs are we expecting for our expected one-stop event? Just a reminder, though, the championship standings as we get ready to start this event. Lennon ahead of Uri. Lennon's no longer in the tier, so Uri is the net leader of the championship. 34.5 points to his name. Head of Turbo, who is 28, then Neski at 25, Polish and Optical rounding out top 5, top 6 area. Our constructor standings, Mercedes lead ahead of Red Bull by 21 points. Right behind is Aston, and McLaren and Ferrari round out the top 5. They're not too much farther back either. Our teams at single digits, 8th to 10th. Haas at 8, Alpine at 6. Sauber only has 1 point, and that came last week in the shortened event at Qatar, which was won by Uri, Lennon on the podium, and Ardell completing the podium. Some guys like Invade, Drift King definitely got messed up by the strategy, that's for sure. We'll see if guys like them can recover and have a better week. 25 seconds until lights out. Let's give you a reminder of some previous races here at Austria. Tier 1, the race was won in the stewards room the last time. Jack Miles lost it. TB got it. With that being said, we had some guys on the podium for the first time that day. That was Tadpole in the Ferrari. He's hoping his drivers can do just that. And 10 seconds, just a reminder. F2 ran here in this game cycle. Tier 3 ran here for preseason. Now we're ready for lights out. Here we come for round 4 of the season. Tonight in Austria. To kick things off, 5 red lights come upon us. It's lights out, and away we go. Turbo looked like he got a decent start. He clears the Red Bull. Now Uri's trying to clear the Ferrari, and we got the Red Bull and Mercedes of Ardell and Neski inside of one another. For them, it's a battle down to turn 3 to get out of each other. Now, slipstream with the Aston and Haas further behind. This is where the trouble started in preseason. Can we avoid it? 3 wide down to turn 3. We're looking toward the midfield as the Haas has a Fromming going missing, and now a spin, an incident for Uri and the Ferrari of Invade. Virtual safety car deployed. That is not good for those guys. Invade needing to avoid trouble. Uri, who had the win last week, now both of them are outside the points. 10-second time penalty headed to D. Sombers for a collision with Faded Knights. VSC brought out, and we already have 4 places gained from Mythic. That's a dream start for him. It's also a dream start for anybody that is not in the named Uri in the Red Bull Academy. Perfect stuff from him to get up the order like this. He needs to keep it going. But with the VSC deployed, make sure you don't get a drive-through. That's the biggest thing for these guys on the opening lap right here. Polish Hammer, good start from him, but he's going to go to the pit lane. We saw Haas pick up damage there on the opening lap. DRS is enabled. See everybody here just going to the pit lane at the back of the field. 6 guys going to the pit lane, whether it is to retire like Lennon, who's accidentally here, or it is to fix a front wing. But right now, RPL Ardell is going for the race lead. Is he close enough to make this move? He is not. Further back, Drift King needs to gain places. We talked about his bad qualifying so far. He's in a sandwich right here, but with Optical, SV, and now Invade, who's trying to gain those places back. For our lead, Ardell's going for it. He's going to try to complete the move the long way around. Turbo's hung it in there on the inside. Now, Invade's trying to gain places further back. But Ardell to the lead. Now, Turbo with the switchback of dreams. He's getting that place back with ease. Up to the lead on the 6th sector of the race. Turbo's got it. It's safe to say in that McLaren, he's got quite the turbo in that car. Turbo does. No pun intended, but he leads lap 2 over Ardell, who was trying to take it from him. And this DRS train goes all the way back to 11th. Very good job from Woda, gaining 3 places. Good job on Johnny as well to gain 4 places. Getting themselves in this DRS train. Still hanging in there with a chance. And Uri, Invade, biggest loser. Same with D. Sombers on that opening lap. Ardell's going for it this time once again. Lap number 3 of the race. First time with DRS enabled through a full lap. Ardell powers by on the outside. Neski's trying to do the same. Mythic and Drift King trade spots. Now, is Ardell going to give Turbo or Neski the slipstream here at the exit of 4? Ardell hangs on for our lead, but Turbo holds second place. We've got yellow flags to the back of the field. That is for Cheese in his second start. It's not the start he would have wanted for sure. And we've got Woda dropping down the order too. But Turbo does keep second place, just barely over Neski. Both V-Carbs in contention tonight for the podium right now. They're getting off to a good start here. 2 places. Faded Knights is in the mix, like we said earlier. Finally in DRS, though, and he overtook his teammate in the process. They're losing DRS here in this train with SV, who's just picked up a penalty. But luckily enough, if Uri can get by SV quick enough, and SV does not be a pain to him, they can gain enough to get there. Woda, penalty. SV, he has that damage. Keep that in mind. We give you the tires. Got to pick your braking point. Be careful with that down to turn 3, excuse me. Make sure you don't hit anybody. And Woda almost did that to his teammate right there. That was Faded Knights almost getting hit up the rear from his teammate. That would have not been good down there at Kick Sauber. Goatley's close, Turbo's close, but no moves being made here at the front of the field in that top 9 spots on lap 4. Uri did get SV, and it's probably a good thing he did, because now SV and the Ferrari Academy boys do have to end up remaining themselves in DRS here of Uri. Just the problem is, though, SV has damage, and he's just trying to wing it out, I guess, and hope for a safety car, hope for that damage not to affect him too badly, but he's lost DRS, though, and he's pitting. So no surprise there. Hopefully Faded Knights and Woda can at least contend there for points then, for Kick Sauber then, and not have anything prevent them from doing so. I mean, they're going to try to get DRS back, but good luck doing that. Turbo, not going by Ardell, but punting the back of him here at turn 3. Maybe trying to avoid getting punted from the back. Invade gets Alex Norris. Now he's in a V-carb sandwich, but did he get that illegally? Invade lets him back through, and up at the front of the field, it's still close here. Turbo maybe had a look, or at least was trying to avoid Neski doing that on him. That was very tight there at turn 4. Only one driver we've lost from this event tonight so far. That is Lennon, but he accidentally joined in as a racer. He meant to click spectate, so that is why he is retired from the event. The top 4 are very close. Invade picks up his first penalty of the night. That is exactly what he did not need. And if you look at Invade's history with penalties, this is no surprise. Turbo's going for it on the inside. Turn 1's maybe not the place you'd expect to move, but he went for it on the inside, got cut off, and has to remain behind Ardell until now, when he can make this move successfully. Down here, Ardell backs off for DRS. It's exactly what he did in this battle back in season 11 or 10, I believe that race was. That was 11, excuse me. No, excuse me, season 12, that Ardell did the same thing in the Ferrari, got the DRS, he got it again, now he protects for turn 4, Ardell's hanging on. Now in the midfield, or the midfield part of this train, we got Invade on Alex Norris. We have the V-carb of Goatley getting Neski for the podium. It's all happening here, and Invade needs to gain this place. He's just shoving Alex Norris right to the curb. Alex Norris picks up a little bit of kitty litter and has to back off. Invade was not giving that place up, especially already having the penalty to his name. And Leon Miner battling Valkyrie once again. These two have quite the history. Remember Imola last season? These two are going toe-to-toe once again. Valkyrie just did not have the best of starts, so she's back there. Leon didn't even get a lap in, so that's why he's back there. And Uri, 10th in the train, last in the train, picks up fastest lap. Take a breath, guys. Take a breath. This is getting chaotic here, and I don't think it's done. Turbo, is he going to make this move? No. Goatley looking to make sure the move's not made on him from behind. Invade now trying to get 4th place back. SV's picked up a penalty. Now, wheel banging side by side down the straight to turn 4. Invade with the inside line will have the advantage, but can Neski get by him on the outside? Right now, he's still hanging there, and he cannot hang it there much longer. Invade does go up another place here, up to 4th. That penalty from Invade will be costly later on, but get the places while you can now. This is exactly what I expect from Invade. Be aggressive once you have that penalty. Maybe force others into errors and get that penalty themselves. Right now, we have Leon Miner overtaking Valkyrie into turn 4. Valkyrie had a little mishap there, and Leon Miner, the new contracted driver for the next 2 seasons in that academy at Williams, does get by. All right, hungry pack behind Ardell, who's going for it this time at a turn 3. It's Turbo, inside line. His teammate won't attack him. We know that. I think Ardell did back off of the DRS. Actually, none of them got it. None of the top 2 got it. So Goatley did. Here comes Goatley to the inside of Ardell. He'll pull back behind, but he can't. Invade's there. Invade is going around the outside. Reel to wheel now out of the exit of turn 4. Invade has the inside line on Goatley. These two have had collisions before. Same with Polish. Both Ferrari drivers, they don't have the best experience with Goatley, but this time Invade does. He gets by up to 3rd now. Cookie saying, who let the Red Bull Academy cook? Yes, all of them are inside the points right here, and this would be another place for Goatley and Alex Norris when the penalties get applied. Ardell lost the lead, but he's just bump drafting the McLaren into turn 1. By the way, Cookie, a little update here on the constructor standings for your drivers. Ideal situation for Red Bull compared to Mercedes in this fight. Right now, though, Invade's trying to gain another place. Remember, he got involved in that collision with Uriah at the start. Now, Ardell's attacking Turbo again. Contact. Lots of touching there at turn 3. Wheel banging as they exit it. Now to turn 4. Ardell slots in front, and Invade can't get close enough to do the same. This is a cracking battle here for our race lead and spots within the DRS train. Ardell gets back the race lead on lap number 9 of this race. And can it be tonight? Double redemption. Why do I say double redemption? Well, last week was the first part of it. No podium to his name prior in any tier of RPL. Becoming the 2nd Canadian over the course of the last 3 years to get a podium in this league. Now, this track was the one he had a podium stolen from him in Tier 2 through his own fault, going over the white line, not having all 4 wheels on it, and losing the podium. What would have been the first one? Now, can it be a first win a week after that podium? We got some penalties being handed out. Goatley and Cheese. That's big for the V-Carb. That's very big. Turbo's remaining behind, but I don't think Goatley is. Goatley has the penalty just like Invade does, and Invade gets another one! There was contact from Goatley. Will that be removed in the storage room? That'll be up for debate. But right now, it's not up for debate for 3rd place right here. Goatley wants it. Invade has it. Behind Uriah with Mythic. Uriah's gained some places. He's gained them on Merc Academy drivers. Now, Invade hangs on, but Goatley is just being pinched right there. Look at this. Down to turn 6. Invade's got the place. But just remember, both are... Oh, there was a hit. Goatley hit him. Just remember, both drivers are going to be extremely aggressive because of the penalty situation. Uriah now has got Mythic there. He gets the overtake done. Uriah and Invade, 2 drivers who fell back at the start due to their own collision with each other, now have gained places through the field. But the big thing for Uriah is he's penalty free. As for Invade, he's not. SV, penalty. Drift King gets Mythic, and for our lead, Turbo going for it. Ardell almost cuts him off right there, and almost sent him to Narnia. But Turbo gets back the race lead once again and has a little bit of a mishap out of turn 3. Now, Ardell gets back in front. Further behind, Invade gets the move done. Dive bomb into turn 4. He can't hold it. Turbo's got it. This is where I was talking about further behind before those guys wanted to cut me off and have some battles go on. Optical, Mythic, Drift King. They've lost DRS in this battle that they're having with each other. You gotta remain in the DRS here tonight, or else you're not gonna be a part of the race for the win. Optical gets a penalty. That is also another part of the problem. If you get a penalty, you won't be in this race for the podium or the victory. Drift King gets one himself as well. That's 4 guys in this train in the top 10 with penalties now. Valkyrie passes Leon Miner for 15th. Turbo is in DRS. He's got it activated. Who backs off? Ardell does first. trying to get the DRS, then goes back in front. Invade looking in the background. Ardell will get the DRS advantage. Down to turn 4. Invade's got it too. Does Invade overtake Turbo, though? Turbo on none. Slots in behind. Ardell reclaims the top spot. Uri now. Ardell's teammate trying to work his way back to the field. Up to 6 now. This is a nice recovery drive. It's similar to what we saw with Blonde in Tier 2 last week. After a spin and the wrong strategy from Blonde, he clawed his way through the field and won the race. Uri already has the pressure taken off of him with 1 victory. Now trying to go for 2. I think Drift King may have hit Mythic there, but I could be wrong. He got the place. Invade hits for the first time this race, trying to do the undercut on the drivers in front. Only guys on hards up there are Drift King, Goatley, and Ardell. The rest of this train is on mediums. So we're going to see what they do. Turbo. In DRS of Ardell. No move made. Uri on the back of his Academy teammate here. No move made there. I didn't expect any, but this train right here sees Drift King, Optical, and Mythic all in it. 2 seconds away from the lead. We'll see if anything happens there anytime soon. But here comes Turbo pressurizing Ardell. Ardell moving over, just trying to protect that race lead. And his 2 Academy teammates right there are there for company to help him out. Goatley, Alex Norris. Goatley, we talked about his track record. Penalties in 3 of the last 3 races. 3 of the first 3 races of the season as well. It's not been good from him, but hopefully, besides the track limit part, he can keep it clean for the remainder of the night. Uri gets by Alex Norris. Maybe a bit of team game there, letting him by. Maybe that's to be expected, though, with Uri just trying to claw his way back to the field, be in the faster car. It's what's expected here. But 4 drivers in this top 5 are a part of Red Bull. Faded Knights in the Kicksaba runs 11th, picks up his first penalty of the night. Turbo's coming back at it, and this time he's going to go the inside, and Ardell will have the DRS once again. Tactically backing off there. And was there a bit of contact out of turn 3 right there? I'm not sure, but Turbo's boosting. Ardell is as well, and he does have the DRS 2x2 now down to turn 4. Ardell went a little defensive right there and almost got tagged as he cut in front of the McLaren down at turn 4. Ardell leads this race once again, but now will these tactics with the DRS games play out when it comes to the next part of this race when they pit? Obviously, Turbo and Uri, they'll pit before Ardell. Ardell and the hards. So we'll see how this plays out. But Red Bull looks strong. 1-3-4-5. This is incredible. Drift King passes Optical, who heads to the pit lane. And we've got a spin. That's up in front. That is the 2 who were running in this train. Turbo and Uri, big trouble, big damage to this race with where that train was. I don't know if any of those cars have any damage, but it's damage to their hopes for fighting for the win, and that's the 2nd time Uri's got involved in a collision today. Wow. Let's see if any of them have damage. Uri is clean on the car. That's an Alpine causing the yellow flags, by the way. And for the McLaren of Turbo, I don't see any damage there either. So, lucky escape for them, but not so lucky to be down the order like that and involved in an accident. Optical, woulda. They've made their mandatory pit stop already on that lap. See, the problem is these guys are in the second half of this train, so it's a good thing they have DRS, but they're behind what I would call slower drivers. Mythic, Drift King, not ideal. But how much time did they lose to the lead right there? They were what, like a 10th or 2, maybe 6/10 behind the lead. They lost 6 seconds in the span of that spin, so that is not good. Cheese in his 2nd start, now his 2nd retirement. He is out of this race. Not good from the Alpine driver. The 2 V-Carbs. Team order game right here, maybe? No papaya rules right here. No Visa rules, as this team would probably call it. Racing it out side by side here at turn 3. Alex Norris inside, Goatley outside. Goatley has the place. Alex Norris concedes it. And Drift King and Mythic, they're doing a little bit of swapping down the straight. I think Uri is getting involved in the mix as well. I think Mythic just kind of pulled over and let him by, realized it's not my race right here. But he's actually going to go back at it. Inside line, Mythic. Here we go. Mythic won't contest this place. You can just see him bumping the back of the Red Bull. And he does concede the place. Maybe just helping out his teammate a bit, who's just caught up further behind. We'll see if Mythic lets him go. And Mythic does let Turbo go. That's where it is not his race. Mythic pitting, I think, yeah, he is. So is Uri. Alex Norris is in too. But I think that's where Mythic realized this is not my race right here. And I'll hold up Uri, but I'm not going to hold up my teammate Turbo here, who just collided with him, I guess. I'm not sure what happened there at turn... Is that turn 10? I think that's turn... Well, what number's last corner? Turn 10? Yeah, it's turn 10. So that's what happened there. Those two collided, we know, but we don't know how that happened. We just know that they collided. And back at the front of the field, Goatley has gained on Ardell. Ardell maybe losing entire life right there. Lost the second lead he had. Now the gap's down to 4/10. Alex Norris, who just pitted, came out behind Optical and Neski. So the DRS train that the Tier 1 drivers complain about all the time, which I totally understand. We don't see this in the second half too much. Obviously, there's about, let's see, 1, 2, maybe 3, 6 guys yet to pit, and I'm sure once things do come out, we'll have the separate DRS trains, but right now, we only have 3 battles here, and we can't really call them a train as things stand. Turbo is in. He's the last of the medium runners inside the points pitting, and Mythic is now in the penalty box. That is not good for Mythic, who was in a big battle there, but I think this tier shows that once everybody pits, once everybody figures things out, they're out of that DRS train, whereas Tier 1, we don't really see that so much. So I guess with these Tier 3 guys, we're going to have quite the race here tonight, and not anything reliant on a DRS train. We'll just have to find out if that's the case, though, when Ardell does pit. Yellow flags. SV. Spinner. Around. 13th place. Valkyrie, she's in as well. She's the other Haas that we see dipping out. 2 friends here right now, 14th and 15th. Faded Knights, Polish Hammer. Polish Hammer not having the best of days, just did not qualify well. Faded Knights, it's his first start of the season. Hoping to salvage some points for Kicksauber and have a better race than he did in preseason here. But right now he's just playing it quiet. Faded for Polish. He's not really having a great race, just trying to recover the lost ground. And that was a penalty there heading to D. Summers, who I don't even know if he's in the session anymore, but he's getting lapped here by Ardell. And Ardell actually gets the advantage there of DRS due to that. Yellow flags. Valkyrie going slow. SV is off, mowing some grass and maybe getting on the gravel, and is now spun around. This is not what SV would have wanted, and for SV's case here, it's not the start of the season he would have wanted either. He's spun again. He's off for the 3rd time this lap. Yeah, not the start SV would have wanted the season. Let's tell you his results. DNF in Australia, P9 in Singapore, his only point, his best finish of the season. And last week in Qatar, he was outside the points, P15. Right now, he's running P17, and it looks like he's going to go to the pits and possibly give up this thing. He's also spun in front of the pits for good measure. And he's also hit the pit wall. Well, this would not be a good time for a safety car. Ardell goes to the medium tires. Goatley is in as well. He's on the hard compound. Gonna go for the medium tires. Both of them on the same strategy here at Red Bull. Ardell did get jumped by Invade and Neski. But remember, Ardell is on the better tires, so he just needs to really regain these spots that he's losing. Staying out really didn't help his case, but now we've seen Ardell fight hard. He just needs to fight hard, but he needs to do this cleanly, as we know how these guys have lost podiums here, whether it be through Tier 2 or Tier 1 in the past due to penalties. Polish penalty. We have some others this lap who just picked up some penalties. SV is into the pits. He's on to medium tires, and hopefully onto tires that will prevent him from spinning out. All right, so Ardell's first target is his teammate. How will this one shape up? Side by side here. into Sector 3 around the outside. He's fighting this one hard. He wants this place very badly on the fresher tires. Ardell's up to 6 now, making the first overtake of what's going to be 5, 6 more. Drift King pits. He did not come into the pits yet. Now he has. Ardell running behind the guys in this train. Invade now has a penalty. He leads this race, but he needs to pull that gap. And he's got a gap over a few guys, but he does not have the gap over Neski and Alex Norris that he needs to have right here to win this race. More spins. It's a Haas. Once again, guess who? That's SV. And we've got a spin out of turn 1. That's Optical, who just lost it on the traction right there. And that gives Ardell another place. Here's Ardell and his Academy teammate, Alex Norris. Maybe looks to pull over. Maybe looks to not fight this as hard. He does do that. Alex Norris concedes the place. Ardell has gone from 7th to 3rd. And Uri, who let Ardell by, has now followed him through. Uri is up to 4th. Ardell 3rd. Now, with the fresher tires from Uri and Ardell compared to the front two, they've got to fight this, and they've got to go quick. With only 16 laps remaining, it's not a guarantee. We could have a safety car here, especially with what's going on with SV, who's getting lapped here now. Oh, I see what he's doing. I see what he's doing. Look at that. That did not give his teammate DRS. He was looking to give his teammate right there DRS as he was spinning out, and that did not happen there. By the way, if the penalties get applied with Invade right now, he finishes down in 5th right here, so he's not safe at all. SV spun out at turn 1 once again. These guys are lapping him, and this is not good. Ardell picks up a penalty. That's crucial for his race to the victory. Turbo. Fresher tires gets Mythic. Drift King on mediums, just remember that. Goatly on mediums. They might be the only ones to fight Ardell or others that Ardell has fought. But now, Ardell's gap to Turbo is going to be very important here, especially if he can get this out of the train. With the penalty applied, he's only got a 10th on Turbo. So Ardell needs to just run with this. Run away. Run away from your teammate and Alex Norris. Yeah, interesting thought there, Minico. Interesting thought. Well, it has happened. Ardell has got his weekly penalty. And Ardell, I'm not surprised with this. I'm not surprised that he's got a penalty. But I'm surprised his teammate, though, Uri, is keeping the pace right now. It looked like he didn't have it going too well in the medium tires. He's already had 2 spins, 2 incidents, both with different academies. One from the Ferrari, one from the McLaren. He's going fast. I don't expect him to attack Ardell here, but he needs Ardell to get going with this, because if one Red Bull can win it, now both can. And if one Red Bull can't win it because of the penalty, well, the other can. So we're going to see how this shapes up here. Polish overtakes Leon Miner, who's yet to pit, actually, I believe. Or if he did pit, he pitted lap 1. I was correct. He did pit lap 1. He had the damage there. So that's a fight going on. Ardell's fighting Neski here. Going to see how Ardell tries to overtake. Neski flashed, and that's because he's on medium here, I guess, or was using the ERS. Now Ardell's going for it. Penultimate corner. Ballsy move here. Ardell through. He's now got a car in between him and his teammate, and more yellow flags. That's for SV. That's no surprise there. And Polish Hammer got Leon Miner. Leon Miner, I must give him a lot of credit. No penalties to his name. He's one of 5 drivers penalty-free so far. If this was the tier, we'd have only 1 or 2 people being penalty-free. Or sorry, if there was any tier to have that be the case, this would be the one. Moves in the braking zone. Neski and Uri, you saw them moving around. There was contact with Ardell. Now Neski getting overtaken by Uri due to the contact. Here comes Alex Norris. Wrong V-carb, excuse me. Alex Norris having the inside line here for turn 4. Alex Norris almost beating and banging with the Mercedes. Now they're beating and banging into turn 5 and 6. Neski, inside line, shoving him out. And that's the second time Alex Norris got shoved out of that corner. The first was by Invade. This one was by Neski. Neski gets the place. Neski up to 4th. And although he's got probably the most worn tires of anybody here in this fight, he's got a chance here to take a podium with the penalties. He's net P2. Just remember that with Invade's 9 seconds. What a track limit penalty. We just saw Leon Miner moments ago pick up a penalty. That's his first. And that now leaves only 4 drivers penalty-free in this race. Uri in DRS of Ardell, but does he attack his teammate? Yes, he does. No rules here at Red Bull Racing. Uri goes really deep. Big lunge on the inside of turn 3 is going to allow Ardell to go the inside. And the more fighting they keep having, the more fighting you allow Invade to have, really, to pull this gap over Ardell. Because Ardell and Invade, the gap between them needed 6 seconds. It's 4.9. Alex Norris fighting this back once again. Inside line here. He knew his mistake the last 2 times, but this time he lost it on the rear, and he almost lost it with the contact with the Mercedes there for good measure. Ardell gets that penalty added on. He's down to 6th right here. The victory would go to Uri, and this would be fought out with Neski. Well, at least Uri, if he does win this race, he avoids any criticism from the fact that he won a shortened race, and he can now win a full distance race. Assuming, all fingers crossed, it does end up going the full distance. We just got a penalty from Drift King pop up on our charts right there, but Uri going for this for the 2nd lap in a row on his teammate. Now Ardell ducks out and avoids hitting his teammate right there and almost re-enters right into the path of the Mercedes of Neski. That could have been disastrous for both of them, but Ardell got the DRS, so did Neski there, down at turn 4, and Uri, he's pulling this gap down on Invade, and he's got the lead when the penalties get applied. Yes, I can turn penalties on. So I just want to remind people before we turn penalties on here, since Cookie is requesting that big slide from Ardell, Neski tried to go through, and he had the contact from behind from the V-Carb, who couldn't see it slowing. Neski avoids damage, but he lost places in the process. Wow. Just everybody, here's the guys in the mediums: Drift King, Goatley, SV, and Ardell. Those are the guys on the medium compound tires before we switch it to penalties. I lagged out of the party if you did not notice, so it take an extra second to get penalties on our screen. So, no team motors at Red Bull. That's clear as day. Here we go again. Ardell versus Uri. Canada versus Czechoslovakia, I believe. 4 seconds now, the gap, by the way. 3.8. Uri might get this victory on track. That is a car pulling off, lap down. That is SV. He's being lapped for the 2nd time today, by the way, and it's not been his day. 3.4 that gap. Look at this. It's coming down between Invade and Uri. And here comes Turbo as well. Right now, if this race finishes, he's in 3rd. He's on the podium. And basically, just to keep you guys in mind, with Lennon being out of this tier, it's a fight between Turbo, Uri, and Neski for this championship then. Ardell. Remember the last few times he got his braking wrong there into turn 3 once. Didn't repeat that mistake this time. You don't want to repeat that mistake, that's for sure. Goatley on the better medium tires, being attacked from Drift King. Can't get out of DRS, but is better on the penalty aspect. Let's show you gap to leader then. Neski. After that contact, we saw a slide from Ardell. Neski slowed down to avoid it. It was the V-Carb of Alex Norris who hit him. Didn't react in time. That put Neski down here to P6. We see the gap with Invade and Neski now, both in the same laps, same tires there. Invade needs to get this gap up by 3 more tenths if he wants to finish inside the top 5 when this thing is all over. 2.9 the gap for the lead. You know, his first season here in Tier 3 and in the league was last season, and SV is around again. It's been an absolute horrid day for him. But for Uri's sake, I want to mention this with his history here. When he came in the league, Matthew Wrightson called him one of the cheating V-Carbs. That's how he got known. So there was already criticism when he came into this league. But he had a great race on debut in Bahrain. And he also had some great races to back it up. His teammate's not going to attack him, it looks like. Alex Norris is not going to be attacked by Turbo. It looks like Goatley's going to attack Drift King there, but now Ardell is going for this on Uri, and he does make the move. Remember, Ardell has the penalty. Uri does not. But back to the point about Uri here, I want to mention this as Ardell goes for yet another slide. He cannot keep this Red Bull stable. For Uri's sake, though, it was constant finishes that kept backing itself up, backing itself up. It led to a Red Bull opportunity, actually, eventually down the road. And he slides again, Ardell. And when that Red Bull opportunity lined itself up, he originally won in Mexico, got it taken away from the steward's room after a penalty contact with, I believe it was Sam Goon it was. And then just inconsistencies, really. He had a lot of podiums to his name. Uri did. It just wasn't backed up enough. Oh, moving under braking. That's a wing chopped. Alex Norris has damage. Ardell and Alex Norris, 2 Academy teammates collide, and good night, SV. 37 seconds of penalties puts him out of this race. But big damage to Alex Norris. Now he's going to have to hold on with Turbo there. And there's more yellow flags. That's down at turn 6. Neski around. Now Ranner's right in the path of this train. Look at this. His teammates there for company. His Academy teammates there for company. Goatley's making the move. Here's Goatley on the move on the inside. Wheel banging there. Remember Alex Norris's mistake trying to go around the outside. Goatley's learned from what his teammate did. And there's contact. Drift King bounces as he goes off and has to re-enter this race. And he does do that. But now Alex Norris cannot hang on with the damage. He's been overtaken for 4th place on track. But as I said, with the Red Bull of Uri, opportunities were wasted. And that inconsistency really showed at the end of last season. Now opportunities in the main Red Bull, had a pole to start the season and then got his first win. But that was a race-shortened event. You know, is he going to be in an event where he's going to be penalty-free here by the end? We would hope so, because that'd get him the victory. Now, he could possibly get this victory on track as well, with that being said. 2.3 the gap. It's continuing to come down. By the way, we just had more yellow flags further on back. That was Neski, I believe, getting into yet another incident. Obviously, he's got damage to his car. He's just going to try to hold it out, I'm going to assume here, with the penalties we have on our screen. As you can see, he's got 6 laps to do this. If the Sauber passes him, that's okay. But, oh, Goatley. Incident with Drift King. Down the order, around. And Invade has picked up yet another penalty. That's up to 12 seconds for Invade. Just speaking about the gap that Invade was going to have over Neski now, if he gets another penalty or if Mythic gets within 9 seconds here, Invade's not safe at keeping a top 5 finish here at all. This is critical. A lot of the guys in Twitch chat talking about the Red Bull guys not working together. Neski pits here. That'll give up a point spot. That'll put Wooda in the points. And if Wooda does remain there, that ties his best finish in RPL. Neski goes to the softs, and his good run of finishes looks like it's gone over. He's got points in all 3 rounds, but tonight that's not going to be the case. Ghosting right there from somebody. Someone had something happen. Valkyrie got a penalty, and Drift King got through an optical. So, yeah, Goatley had that happen where he collided with Drift King. I'm sure all the incidents that we've had today, it's Tier 3, it'll surely see the steward's office. We know if there's an incident with Goatley, it's seen the steward's office. Already has 3 times this season at least. And SV, one of our 2 drivers out of this event, his was due to a DQ. Cheese's was due to a DNF in the pit lane. Now, battling once again. Will the Red Bulls work together? The Twitch chat wants that to happen right now. They're banging wheels down into turn 3. Technically, if Ardell fights this too hard, you're giving the lead up to Turbo here, because Turbo and Uri, they're penalty free right now. Ardell backed off. Now he's boxed in the McLaren. This is kind of tactical if this is meant to be this way. Uri hangs on. Ardell is 3rd and Turbo is 4th. But Turbo right now has the car in between him and what is going to be the race lead when the penalties get applied. Can Uri do it? Can Uri win for a 2nd straight week? Turbo is there to make the move on Ardell, but he cannot get the move complete down into the final 2 corners. There will be DRS here into the final corner, then turn 2. then turn 4. But it's all about how Ardell manages this, because he has the penalty. His teammate doesn't. Turbo has no penalty. Alex Norris now does. Alex Norris was looking for a podium. Now make it only 3 without a penalty with 3 laps remaining. Goatley's got a penalty as well to add to his name once again. So some of these guys who came into tonight's event penalty-free so far this season, they're not ending it that way tonight. That's for sure. 1.3 now the gap. Uri's best friend right now could be the DRS from Invade, and it definitely can be now after Ardell had a snap, lost the rear, and maybe losing any chance of really any podium if there were any spins. Luckily though, with Invade's 12 seconds, Ardell is going to hang on, but with this constant snapping from the rear, it's not guaranteed. Neski, who's had points every race so far this season, kept it penalty-free, still kept it penalty-free tonight, now is our 3rd DNF. 2 laps to go. DRS for the 2nd place man, our net race leader, Uri. This is his best friend right now, the DRS. Valkyrie goes spinning further on back, but that does not matter now in this battle for the lead. That's a big bottle for Ardell as the Twitch chat makes note of it. Some more overtakes further on back. I believe that's a spin. No, that's Neski's retired car coming out of the pits, excuse me. But Ardell spinning right there is not good, because this battle for the podium is now wide open between him and Alex Norris. And the big thing for Uri is he does not have a teammate to back him up here. That would have been 2 great things he would have had in this battle. Now, he's only relying on the one great thing that he's got right here, DRS. But the problem is, this is not a guy in the academy. This is Invade, and Invade's got maybe DRS here from Valkyrie. Yes, Invade has a little bit of help here. This also helps Uri. 1 lap to go. Uri is looking for a 2nd win. Last week, it was the one with half points and a shortened race. But now, can it be on track? Can it be through penalties? Can it be him holding on? Turbo is there. Turbo has the ERS advantage as well. Everybody's staying tucked in here at turn 3. And remember, Invade is leading this train, but has 12 seconds of penalty, so he's not going to win this race. He's just trying to hang on for a top 5. But right now, Uri is going for this on track. Invade goes defensive. Invade gets put off. Now, turn 4. Invade fights this back. How will this handle? Uriah's got damage. Uriah's got damage, so he needs to hold on here for one more sector over Turbo. And Invade is there. Invade is there to pounce as well, disrupt this fight. Invade lets Turbo go and fight this himself. Last week, it was a shortened event. This week with damage and keeping it penalty-free, it's back-to-back victories for Uri, taking the lead of the championship with it. Uri picks up his 2nd career win in RPL Tier 3. No shortened event this time. He takes it the full distance. Turbo, so close. He gets 2nd. Ardell on the medium tires, thrown away the victory, and with the penalty, it could have been his, but it just wasn't. He held on over Alex Norris, who picks up his best career finish. Invade is 5th, ties his best result of the season. Then you got Mythic, Optical, Drift King in 8th. Goatley held on for 9th. Woulda gets Sauber their 2nd points finish of the season. Polish Hammer. He mentioned into tonight's event for Ferrari, don't expect too much from me. Well, it's another finish outside the points for Polish Hammer in RPL Tier 3, but problematically, it's his first one of the season outside the points. Faded Knights, quiet race from him. We didn't talk about him a lot. 12th place. Leon Miner, we talked about that contract extension. 13th for him. D. Somers, lap down. Valkyrie, lap down. They finished 14th and 15th. Leon Miner is our last one to cross the line on the lead lap. 13 cars finished this race in the lead lap. 15 cars finished this race. We only lost 3 from the event. We did see Lennon lost from the event, but he was not supposed to be here, and, well, you know, it accidentally put him in a car. But spin and win from Uri. It's just a matter of, will it see the steward's office with his incident with Invade and the McLaren? Is that true, Tadpole? And Uri celebrates on the top step of the podium for a second time. Look at that. 1-2 for the nation. 1-3-4 for Red Bull as well, by the way. Yeah, spray that champagne. He deserves to spray that champagne after what he went through today. One stop from everybody who finished inside the points tonight. We see the penalties on the screen as well. Only 3 drivers kept it in the track limits at the end of the event. Neski, Turbo, Uri. Uri, Turbo, Ardell. That's your top 3 on the podium. Here are the rest of your results outside the points. Neski, first DNF of the season for him. Not ideal. Obviously, we lost him with just a few laps to go. Cheese, we lost from the event very early on. SV was disqualified from the event and is now banned from Tier 3, supposedly, after picking up 37 seconds of penalties. Not good. We're talk of race fixing for him. I mean, with SV, you know, he has shown a lot of promise in this tier. A pole, some points finishes on days he shouldn't have had any, but when you've had a DNF, points finish outside the points in Qatar, track limit penalties in the last 3 races, you've got to prove you can do better. And especially when he came in this league, he was only finishing on average 15% of his races. So that's not a good sight for SV. Hopefully he can redeem himself in F2. Well, yeah, SV is saying it himself. He does not have any roles anymore in Tier 3. Pole is saying it's kind of hard to get points when you're given a wing damage lap 1 because people don't brake. So, we see it right there. Polish was not able to make the comeback drive from having the lap 1 troubles. It's his first finish outside the points this season. I don't mean to be rude at all to Polish, but I really do think it comes from starting better. He's not started better than P8 this season, so hopefully next week in Spa we can see drivers like him, and even Drift King, who's had some poor starts this season as well, qualify better in order to avoid the trouble that happens here. Just reading over the Twitch chat messages as you guys yeah, fair point, I guess. Polish, fair point. I don't know. I mean, hey, it's Tier 3. You never know what happens sometimes. Sometimes it ends up being a chaotic race. We only had 1 VSC this event, so I'll give the drivers credit there, but I'm sure for people like Polish and Goatley and a few others, they did not feel like they were in the best of spots today or around any clean area. And that happens sometimes. That does happen. Interesting. So, I'm gonna give the driver of the day to Uri. Uri qualified second, just off of pole, a 10th. Was not the fastest guy, you know, at all in qualifying, but he was the fastest in the race. He got into 2 incidents. I don't know if they were his fault at all. We didn't get to fully pick him up on our stream, but we'll see in the storage room if they were his fault. He had an incident with the McLaren of Turbo. But both of them did a really good job coming back, I'll say that. Turbo even had that spin with Uri, like I forgot to mention. And he had the lap 1 incident with Invade. And Invade did a really good job coming back, too. All guys who finished top 3 on track had an incident at some point during the race. But what makes Uri's drive more special is he had 2 incidents during the event. And he did not disappoint today. He had the pace, just outright pace, battled his teammate, and won the race. So, second win. He's looking hot right now. He's looking like a favorite for the title, that's for sure. So, I have to give him the drive of the day. nominee. And I would give the runner-up for driver of the day to Turbo, because for Turbo's case, he also was involved in an incident with Uri, and he recovered quite well. My third nominee, my third place nominee for driver of the day, I would either give it to Alex Norris in the V-Carb, who put on a really good performance. I saw him at the end of Tier 2 a few seasons ago, and he finished inside the points for Alpine, had some decent runs, and he's had points ever since returning to Tier 3, and he was just one spot shy of the podium. Yeah, that should not be a tongue twister at all, but it was one spot shy of the podium for him in the V-Carb. So obviously, hopefully in Spa, you can go one spot better. And I also want to give a big shout out to the Kick Sauber who finished 10th, Woda, because I'm not too familiar with a lot of these newer drivers. Obviously, D. Sommers, one of the newer drivers who joined with a raid in the chat. Thank you for that, by the way. Good to see you. I know it wasn't the best race from you, but yeah, for Woda though, that's the worst car in the grid, Kick Sauber. And I know Sauber got points last week in P9 in a shortened event, but this was full distance. He kept himself in the DRS for a good, 10 laps, I want to say. Had the clear edge over his teammate, got the point, and he's only had 1 point prior. Dropped down from Tier 2. It's his first Tier 3 race. I'll be honest, even in Tier 2, we had not seen good things from him. He kept getting himself into incidents, into a lot of trouble, and Invade got a lot of slack from the admins saying, your Kick Saubers need to step it up. Well, statement made from Woda. He's my, him and Alex Norris will be my third and fourth nominees for driver of the day right there. So, fair play. Yeah, Polish says he might be taking that point from him. Oh boy. Yeah, well, keep in mind, in the steward's office, a lot can still change for whatever happens. If Uri was deemed at fault for the incident with the Ferrari and the McLaren, he could lose the victory. If Turbo is at fault, maybe he could lose his second place spot. A lot can still happen, so keep up to date in the Discord server for when the penalties do get released. But in the meantime, we have some races to continue the weekend that we need to keep you out looking for. Tier 2 is tomorrow in Spain. We hope to see you there. F2 is in Miami on Saturday, and F1 in Monza later on in that day after F2. Next week, though, for Tier 3, we are in Spa. And after that will be the halfway point of the season. And we'll be halfway done through the Tier 3 season. That's also race 15 all time. So make sure you join us for that. I'm not sure who will be on commentary. I probably won't be, because I've got an interview that day. That will definitely last longer than the one I had today. So wish me luck for that. Fingers crossed. But speaking of luck, I wish the drivers who compete for the rest of the weekend, Tier 2 Spain, F2 Miami, F1 Monza, the best of luck there. And same thing for our Tier 3 drivers in Spa next week. We hope you tune in for Spa. Should be a fun one. We'll see what happens. Can Uri and Turbo fight this into the second half of the season? We'll find out then. Have a good night, folks. I was your commentator, Ryan Searles, and I am signing off. We hope to see you later on this weekend or next week for Tier 3. Good night, and have a good one.